guys. Hope you had a great weekend. Welcome to Game Changers. Before going further into the show, let's take a look at what Careffour is all about. Careffour. Careffour is one of the largest retailers in the world. It was founded in 1960s and since then ventured into different business models. And currently, it enjoys large profit margins and has grown to become one of the biggest consumer retailers in the world. Thank you for joining us for today's show. And today we'll be talking about a very interesting issue with regard to Careffour and its entrance to Russia. Careffour, being a big corporate, makes sense that they would research and enter and a think process from A to Z in conducting businesses. However, Careffour, being such a big giant, entered Russia and just in a short time span of 4 months decided they would exit the country. Do you think this is the right thing to do? Sub-businesses should be more responsible and think about their corporate structure before making such vivid decisions. Today we have a personality, a special guest from Careffour joining with us. She is the head of global business development for Careffour. We have a very special guest joining our show today, Head of Global Business Development for Careffour, Ms. Josephine Yang. Thanks for having us. Thank you for joining us. So, Careffour is one of the biggest global brands in the world, and it's at a stage where everyone knows about Careffour. I want to start the interview with one question. What makes Careffour expand, or what makes Careffour go international?
Well, just like any other company, our main goal is to truly become a global company, and also its economic incentives is what has brought us to other countries in the world.
All right. So, Josephine, I hope you don't mind me calling you that.
Yes, okay.
When you know about your venture into the Russian market, when you entered Russia, or when you thought of entering the Russian market, did you find the country or the Russian market an attractive place to be? And was that entering in line with your organizational objectives?
Well, surely we had to find Russia attractive to enter it in the first place. Considering that Russia is a new and bigger market, we had to tap into that opportunity.
All right. And it was also in line with your global initiatives and becoming a global entity.
Yes, of course.
All right. Okay. So Josephine, Careffour finally decided to exit Russia in 4 months. You said that the reason for Careffour to go into Russia was economic incentives and it was in line with your organizational objectives. And you also agree that Russia is a very attractive market. But with all that, I'm a bit confused. What made you exit Careffour or exit Russia if it is so attractive and if it was in line with your objectives?
Well, due to the global financial crisis, Russia has had insufficient growth prospects and acquisition opportunities in the short and medium term. And also, our main trigger in eventually exiting Russia was due to being unable to acquiring Seventh Continent, another big retailer in Russia, because of this country's lack of credit to retailers. Meanwhile, Seventh Continent was not doing so well either because of their functional problems due to this country's high debt burden for local retailers.
So, from my understanding and from what you said right now, it's like you're trying to say that the main problem for Careffour to exit Russia was because of the downturn in Russian economy. Is that the case?
Well, not only that, but Russia is quite a difficult country to deal with. What we call bureaucracy, corruption, and red tape going on. We experienced a delayed entry, and as a result, our goal of leading the market in the medium term, establishing the brand quickly, and securing returns on investment was stopped short. Let me give you something to picture. Our company was caught up in a bureaucratic hassle in Moscow since we couldn't get our license to sell alcohol.
I was wondering when the alcohol part is going to come in.
Yeah, and you know, alcohol is worth 15% of Careffour's revenue.
Of course,
So,
of course it does.
Right. This just goes to show that Russia is taking its best interests at heart in, you know, to increase competition in their country. So it's reflected in their overly complicated legislative framework.
So again, I ask you, from the looks of it, it looks like that you're blaming Russia and its framework for the reason why Careffour exited Russia in such a short period of time. I'm going to ask you yet again, was Russia the reason why Careffour exited the market, or did you have any, I'm going to put it that way, did you have any internal problems or internal causes which made Careffour to make that move?
Well, I guess there are some internal problems. Our shareholders wished for us to take a step back and focus more on the home front in France, since our global shares have dropped 3%. And another thing is finding the right people to fit into retail roles was a challenge, since Russia has more scientists than there are business people here. Yeah.
Okay, of course, I understand you were a bit reluctant at first to come up with the internal problems. At the end of the day, after this interview, you need to have your job when you go back to the office, don't you?
Okay.
So I understand your viewpoint. Of course, I'm not going to let you go soon because you're not done. There's more questions coming in your way.
Okay.
Yes. Shall we take a walk and we'll discuss more about this whole Russian issue? Josephine, on the way here, I had a pretty interesting conversation with you. When it comes to brand image, because these days brand images are very vital for modern business environment. Did this exit from Russia harm your brand image?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you and say it didn't, but I stand by our decision of exiting Russia because of what I said previously in the office.
Alright. Yeah, exactly, because brand images, as I said before, it's vital, and especially brands like Careffour, people usually are attracted to brand names. I mean, other countries have their hype markets, but when you say it's Careffour, they are attracted to the brand image itself. So I'm pretty sure the sudden exit from Careffour might have done some harm to your brand image. But moving on to my next question, which I want to ask you, is that Careffour being such a big brand, as we always say, small retailers and up and coming consumer retailers want to usually look up to these big brands, and Carrefour especially kind of acts like a benchmark for these brands, and they kind of try to not imitate exactly, but kind of trying to follow and do what Carrefour do. So they also could someday become one of the biggest brands. So is this what you want the small players to learn from you? Just go into a market, invest heavily, and exit. What kind of an example would this kind of thing would give to those small players? Do you think it's right?
So there's only one thing that I can say to the small players is that big players also make mistakes, and small players shouldn't be afraid to take risks. And but without them, they wouldn't be big in the first place.
So what you're trying to say is that small players should learn from big players' mistakes and make sure that those mistakes are not done ever again. I think you should. I think Carrefour should also learn from your own advice. Learn from Carrefour's mistakes and not to do these kind of mistakes or these kind of scenarios, whatever. Josephine, thank you very much for joining with our show. But as I said before, you're not done yet.
Oh,
You are not done yet, believe me.
okay.
There is someone inside who maybe have a different perspective with regard to this issue rather than what you said right now. Shall we go in and find out, or do you want some more time?
Yeah. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. I work out. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. I work out when I walk in the
Hi Daniel, hi Navin. Thanks for joining us, and for all of you who's joining us. We're here talking about this business issue with regard to Carrefour, and we have two management consultants from the Boston Consulting Group, a very good company, Fortune 500 company, joining us with the show to talk about this whole issue with regard to Carrefour entering the Russian market and exiting it within a short time span of 4 months.
That's true.
I think you heard what other talkers who joined us in the show.
We actually saw that.
One from Carrefour was telling they blamed it more on the market than their own fault, while JP Morgan's consultant was telling that it was more of Carrefour's fault rather than the Russian market. So you being in this business of so-called management consultancy, and you two are especially from International Business Development Division, you also have insights to all of this. What is your opinion? What forces do you think that made Carrefour exit the market, exit Russia?
Talking about forces, actually, there's a theoretical perspective to this. There's something called the Porter's 5 forces, which is actually a simple but powerful tool which for you to understand business's situation. It's useful because you can understand both the strength of your current competition and what you're gonna be in the future. So the 5 forces are actually rivalry, the bargaining power of customers, the bargaining power of suppliers, and the threat of new entrants, also the threat of substitute products and services.
Talking about the first force, it's about strong rivalry in Careffour market, because Careffour has to compete with other local and international markets as well. It's like for Germany's Metro, it's also retail store, and also Russian Magnet, for example. And the next is bargaining power of customers. In the Russia, it's quite low, because buyers they could not affect the price because of huge population in that country, as we know.
Then coming to bargaining power of suppliers, it's also quite low because switching of cost suppliers will be quite difficult, and to find alternative suppliers is quite easy. So there is a threat of new entrants is quite high because due to complicated legal and political issues, it's highly costly, and it's not an easy market to enter, as Careffour has mentioned.
Yeah, in the last is threat of substitute products, and in Russia it's quite high because customers they are not loyalty to any particular brand, so they can switch different markets like hypermarket or convenience stores. Yeah.
Um, so, like, uh, when we talk about Carrefour as a whole, as we all know, it's one of the biggest retailers in the world, and it is doing very well, of course. Their profit margins are very high, and even during the recession, they were doing okay, better than most of the other retailers from Europe. Uh, we discussed this issue again with Carrefour, with regard to Carrefour's perspective before, and we discussed this with also JP Morgan, JP Morgan's analyst to be specified. Uh, do you think, Dania? I mean, this I want to know,
Okay.
and I'm pretty sure our viewers would like to know. Do you think, from a management consultant's perspective, an independent peer's perspective, do you think Russian market is lucrative enough to attract foreign partners or more foreign partners?
Yeah, it's quite very attractive to get more foreign players because according to my data, it's in October 2009 the oil price increased and it leads to the strong economic growth and it's very high purchasing power for customers.
All right.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, and according to statistics, to add on to that, my statistics here say Russia actually has a huge population of 143 million, if I'm not mistaken, and their retail market was expected to grow to US dollars 745 billion by 2011. Also, about 14 of its cities had a population of over 1 million and were expected to account for 60% of the retail growth on that country by 2012. So I think it's a highly lucrative market to enter.
Yeah, I think it is a highly lucrative market because even when I look into this issue, when in 2009, as it was predicted that Russia was to become Europe's fastest growing consumer economy by 2012.
That's true.
And I think it was supposed to overtake UK and Germany.
Yeah.
UK and Germany, we are talking about huge countries with
Yeah.
huge GDPs. And Russia was supposed to take over UK and Germany. To think these vodka drinking people are actually capable of something, they're
Yeah, that's
capable
true.
Yeah.
of more than drinking, I
Yeah.
would say.
And the
Yeah, so there are a lot of challenges. Even though all of these are there, I think there are a lot of challenges doing business in Russia.
the problem that challenges it's conclude in some bureaucracy that it's some people know that Russia has a lot of corruption and bribes. So other foreign players they afraid of that it will happen with their countries, and without acquisition it's not impossible to establish their business in Russia.
I see. Do you have any insight to that, Naveen?
Yeah,
do you agree with Dania? Or?
Yes, because as I completely agree with Dania, because we are working on this together. So Russia is a country where there's a lot of red tape, a lot of legislature, and a lot of political issues. So it's not easy to play around with the market.
So what you're saying is basically Russia is not as open as any other free capital.
Yeah, because there's a lot of bureaucracy along with corruption and red tape. So you can't ignore that fact, because for a foreign player to enter into that market, even though there are opportunities, there are a lot of challenges. That's what Dania meant before. Yeah.
All right.
So, but I mean, in our opinion, as management consultants, to enter Russia, it's quite easy if you go with a joint venture with a local company, so you can understand the local conditions of Russia. So that would help immensely to enter into the markets of Russia, I would say.
But then again, there is problems of finding joint ventures, right? Joint
Yes.
partners, because do you think they're open to the ideas of joint ventures?
Depends. If you find a joint venture partner which is strong enough and they have a very good establishment. For example, Careffour could take advantage of its local partners' distribution network, because they are already present in Russia and they have a big network. I mean, because Russia is a big country and they would have to have a proper established distributing network. Yeah.
So basically, what in conclusion, what both of yours opinion is that Russia can, or it is lucrative enough to attract foreign players.
Yes.
Is it? But there are challenges. There's a lot of challenges with regard to bureaucracy, with regard to the market conditions,
Yeah.
and maybe Russian economy is not as predictable as more economies and
Yeah.
some of the economies in the world. And when it comes to research and all, some research must not have. I mean, it's very minimal research in some areas with regard to Russian economy.
That's true.
So what you're saying is that a foreign player, even though it's lucrative, would be faced with a lot of challenges. And if that foreign player is able to overcome those
Yeah.
challenges, I think that player will be compensated for overcoming that challenge as well, because of the sheer size of the Russian market.
Yes, that's true.
All right. Dania, Navin, I mean, I know you're very busy. Maybe you're very busy with dealing with the Russians, because I know you have a few Russian clients under your belt. And I hope you do not get too drunk tonight with the Russian meeting, too much of vodka.
I can't help that. I mean, we also need a break once in a while. So.
Yeah, I hope you consult with them in a good mind, because you know they are red tape and bureaucracy. Thank you very much for joining
you.
with us
Thank
today.
you so much. And
It was a pleasure having both of you
Thank
on
you.
our show. All right, guys, that's it from our show today. It has been a wonderful show with so many insights about the issues of Careffour and the challenges they faced when entering Russia and the reasons why they exited Russia. And we also had some independent evaluations and insights, in-depth insights rather, to the whole situation of Careffour, the misadventure of Russia. That's it from me, and I wish you had a great time watching our show. Take care. Is it over?
Yeah, it's over.
Oh, thank God that's over.
When the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. When the pigs try to get at you, park it like it's hot. Park it like it's hot. Park it like it's hot. And if a nigga get an attitude, pop it like it's hot. Pop it like it's hot. Pop it like it's hot. I got the rollie on my arm and I'm pouring Sean Don and I'm all the best weed.